Thank you for auditing the always positive new music review show hosted by a French professor who is listening to Young Lean for the first time in his review of the album Stardust. So I'm free of expectation. Since I started this channel, people have brought him up. I've been vaguely aware of his influence. But today I'm going to do a real deep dive into this one album. And this is going to be my best way of understanding who he is and what this whole Swedish sad boy rap scene is all about. You might be sitting there thinking, how can you have never listened to the sad boy's music? How can you have never heard Young Lean? Well, I'm not a sad boy. I'm a dad boy. When Young Lean was revolutionizing music, apparently, I was trying to get tenure and raising a couple of kids in elementary school. So this is a video which is partly for you, dad boys and mom girls, people out there who are a little too old to have grown up during the sad boys revolution. But it's also for the sad boys themselves. Because I'm interested, in showing you how this music is interpreted by someone who's listening with open ears, with an open mind, how this information is processed in my brain. How do I feel about this as a complete outsider? As a side note, I do have a little bit of homework for you, my sad boys. Please tell me in the comments, the top 3 exemplary Young Lean songs from before this album for me to listen to. And then I'll make an extra little video. I'll put it I'll make it private, but I'll put it in the comment section, and I'll sort of listen to those songs to better understand the Young Lean phenomena. Now, it's not the first time I've reviewed anything having to do with this Swedish sad boy rap phenomena. Just 2 weeks ago, I reviewed Crest by Bladey, and Echo 2K. And I enjoyed it quite a bit. If you watch my video, it's been interesting watching the response to it. It started off very slowly, but I have a lot of people who have watched it and commented on it. But there's a sort of central problem to all of this. I don't want to believe. I'm very Scully on this. I don't want to believe that Young Lean is so influential. I don't want to believe that some white Swedish kid can have been one of the most influential rap artists in rap in the last 10 years. It kind of messes with my worldview. And let me explain why. Now, first of all, let's sort of break, rap is, beats and rhymes, and I think we can more broadly define that as form and content. The form is the sound, that the production, the beats, and then the content is the lyrical content. I'll get to the form bit later, but the content is what really bugged me. Because, when I would see pictures of this guy, I just saw a white guy. And he's from Sweden. And I know a lot of people from Sweden. I've never met someone from Sweden who has that voiceless look to them. Now, of course, there are people there who are marginalized, but in general, the quality of life in Sweden is very high. It's a very socialist country. It's a very effective and rich socialist country, which means there's not a lot of that kind of systematic oppression that exists, that terrible wealth gap, which creates so much of the misery, which then creates hip-hop. So if what I believe is that hip-hop can be the voice of the voiceless, in my imagination, I didn't foresee a white Swedish rapper as being able to do that. My suspicion was that he would be like a lot of other white rappers that I have experienced with. Not like Eminem, people who come from actual hardship and who love the art form and really put it forward, but just sort of young white men like myself, right, like I was when I was younger, who are sort of searching for identity, searching for some kind of meaning, searching for some kind of larger structure than just being white guys. Like something interesting, something dynamic. And so the neck tattoos and the bad haircuts and the drug abuse seem to me to just be this effort, Toby's back there, seem to be this effort to make someone more interesting. And I've seen this happen all the way throughout my life, being surrounded by boring white guys just like me, who don't experience adversity, who don't experience difficulty, who then exaggerate whatever kind of internal issues they have or whatever kind of external issues they have, and then mix in with that some self-destructive behavior, and then presto magic, they have a personality. When I did a little bit of research into Young Lean's life, I learned that this initial supposition was not really that far off. His father is a successful translator. It's a hard job to get. I have friends who are translators as well. Just so you know, as an example, the book Coraline by Neil Gaiman, Young Lean's father is the one who translated that. Okay, his mother was an ambassador. So, I've known a couple children of ambassadors, and actually, if you stay around to the end of this video, not only am I going to release one of my albums that I've never released, an album that I made 20 years ago, I'm also going to tell you a story about a romantic misadventure with the daughter of an ambassador. So stay tuned to that fairly embarrassing, slightly funny story. But, this idea of being like a hardcore rap artist who changes rap history while being an upper middle class kid from a very prosperous and socially minded country like Sweden just seemed impossible to me. It's not enough to get addicted to codeine and then say, I have a personality. But before all of you sad boys get so mad at this dad boy, before you sit there and say, oh my God, you're so wrong, you're so wrong, you're so wrong, I'm telling you, I was so wrong. I was thinking about it in the wrong way. I was thinking about it too racially, and I was thinking about voicelessness in a wrong way. I really was selling Young Lean short before ever even listening to his music. Now, I did a little bit of research, as I said. Fortunately, there's a wonderful Volksgeist video. He's quite a good music YouTuber about Young Lean and his influence. And what I understand is this whole kind of corner of music. While I was being a dad boy and raising my kids, there was a whole generation being raised on the internet. And that generation of kids was being attracted to music like Death Grips and like the Sad Boys and like Young Lean. Young, alienated, mostly white, mostly cis male, people like myself who were feeling like I felt in high school, alienated, disaffected. But when I was alienated and disaffected in high school, I had nothing. I'd watch a TV show called Night Court on reruns on TV. That was it. I couldn't create a community. I couldn't find a community. I couldn't find other people who felt like I did, except for Morrissey. And he was singing songs from 10 years before. So what I've come to understand is that for these young people who grew up in this time of the internet, this was their voice. And this sad boy thing was real, because it is easy to be sad. And the mishmash of styles and genres really spoke to the internet culture. This brand of sadness, but at the same time kind of flexing, like being sad, but also bragging about how rich you are, how successful you are, how much money you have, all kind of goes together in a sort of internet personality of being simultaneously sad and proud of being sad while also being awesome and proud of being awesome. So apparently, this guy, Young Lean, he is one of the very earliest and most influential of these sad emo rappers. Mixing in a weird relationship with consumerism, talking about video games, and that's how the content of this music, of this person who realistically did not face hardships in the classical sense of hardships, can make music that has gone on to help people who are experiencing hardships to express themselves. It's a funny kind of reverse influence. And then we get to the form of the music. This was much easier for me to understand. I mean, I hope you know I love Playboi Carti's music now. It took me a while to understand it. But listen, some music reviewers had to revisit Whole Lot of Red and say it's good. Other music reviewers who knew nothing about Playboi Carti knew it was a great album on the first pass. But it surprised me to learn that like Playboi Carti and the Playboi Carti influence, which I desperately want to credit to him and to credit to African-American rappers from the South who have done so much for the culture and for the generations and all of that of the past 20 years, that so much of that African-American Southern music was wildly influenced by these random bourgeois Swedes in Sweden. And what better way to understand our society than to understand that? Our borderless internet society, our large and small world. So this genre of music, this cloud rap, which I listened to the music before I heard the genre name. And then I listened to the music and the genre name made perfect sense. Kind of lo-fi, very sort of amateurish, poor singing, emotional lyrics, but not quite confessional. Experimental, internet-minded, almost satirical lyrics at times, almost satirical genres at times, a sort of ethereal, hard-to-put-your-hands-on style of music that reflects the cloud itself, that reflects the internet cloud. I don't mean the cloud like Amazon cloud services. I mean the cloud like the cloud that we live in. Like the internet is a... Jesus Christ, I'm about to get philosophical. I better have a sip of coffee before I say this thing right here. Okay. The internet has turned our entire existence into a cloud, into a thing that doesn't have form, but you know it's there. That's heavy, right? I mean, clouds are heavy, but you can go right through them. Like this weightlessness, effortlessness, mishmash of everything. Like that's the society that the Sadboys grew up in, that Young Lean grew up in. So who am I to say that he didn't experience real pain? Who am I to say growing up with the internet doesn't create its own different kinds of difficulties that need artists like Young Lean to express those kinds of difficulties? I don't know. I'm a mother effing dad boy. Okay? I'm a Generation Xer who had my own thing. When I was a teenager, the most important thing for me was to say that I didn't care. That was it. That was the point. The point was to say everything was okay, never mind, whatever. That's changed, and thanks to this channel, I'm able to experiment and see what these other experiences are. So we have the form and the content of this cloud rap, this sad rap. But let's get into the album a little bit more specifically. I'm going to start off with my example song. It'll be a bit of homework. It's called Trip. It starts off with this great, like slightly distorted voice of this guy singing. It's minimalist and it's quite good. And by the way, this guy can't sing. It's like, like most of the singing on this album is, can you do that? Let's do a little Dora the Explorer. Can you say, good. You can sing like Young Lean, but it works. Because then there's this like high arpeggiated notes, do-do-do, do-do-do, and like a trap drum beat. And then he kind of raps, but he's not really rapping. It's really hard to say like so I need to go on Do Not Disturb here. You know, he's like sort of rapping and sort of singing. And this is the point where you see my reaction here. I wrote, damn it. Because I'm getting it. Like, I listened to the song, and the second it was over, I wanted to listen to it again. I'm starting to understand this vibe thing you Zoomers are all on about. Like, I'm starting to get it. And it's exciting, and it's nice. And it's part of why doing this channel is great. This is for you, dad boys. You have to challenge your taste. You have to accept the fact that maybe some like 23-year-old from Sweden is making great rap music, and it doesn't matter if it's not Grandmaster Flash or Onyx. It might be great. I also have a challenge for you sad boys. As you age, as you turn 30, as you turn into dad boys, keep that kind of open mind. Understand that the next wave of music that comes out, you are going to hate. But understand, it's probably just as good as Young Lean. You know, in my video about Bladey, I hypothesized that there was a 4-stage relationship with this music. First you reject it, then you reluctantly listen to it, then you accept it, and then you become obsessed with it. Nevermore is this more clear than in this song. Like, I totally get it. I would reject it at first. That's not music. And I was like, actually, it's kind of a nice beat. And I was like, actually, I kind of like it. And now, like, it's in my head, and I want to stop the video. Ba-boo-boo, ba-boo-boo. Very repetitive. Tons of repetition, but slight changes. Like, the words are repeated with a voice. Lyrics are kind of silly. He makes reference to 50 Cent, which, according to the research I did, was his first rapper that he liked. That's what's fun about this channel and about life in general. You know, I talk about mid-20s music death. When I was like 25, I shut myself off to new music. And that was when 50 Cent came out. That was when 50 Cent, 50%. Now, that's a dad boy. When 50 Cent came out, I'd already given up on new music. It's like, I've never taken 50 Cent seriously, and now I'm listening to somebody who considers 50 Cent to be like the real old school person. The lyrics aren't that important. They seem to be sort of about drugs. You know, it's called Trip. F you, too, cheat on me. Maybe it's about a relationship. I don't know, but the lyrics don't really matter. It's all part of this texture, this great texture. And it's not that the lyrics don't matter, because the lyrics lead to an emotion. but it's that cloudiness where it's not that the words specifically matter. And maybe this helps that he's singing in his second language, that he doesn't speak English as a native tongue, because it gives that little added layer of haze, that added layer of fog. What a great song. Okay, so here's my assignment to you, dad boys. Listen to this song twice, and tell me by the third time, tell me by the end of the second time, you don't want to listen to it a third time. I think you probably do. Coming up next, I'm going to go through the rest of the album. Starting off with the first track, Bliss, featuring FKA Twigs. She's great on this. She really brings a lot. I want an entire Twigs and FKA Twigs, on an entire FKA Twigs and Young Lean album. It's just this great interaction. The production on here is the best production on the album by far. Cool kind of 80s New Order style guitar. This cool like hotel bell, like, you know, ding, keeps on coming. Sort of chunky, chopped up beats. Just keeps saying like blissy, bliss on bliss on bliss. I like this theme of bliss. Some very kind of goofy lyrics to start off. So icy like the Sea World. Icy like SeaWorld. Is SeaWorld icy? I've been to SeaWorld. I mean, back in the old days. I'm icy like SeaWorld? Or is this like, does he mean Waterworld? I don't know. I also like how his accent comes down, you know, it comes very strong. At a certain point, he says lights go down. You can really hear it. But it's really the pop chorus here that makes the song so great with FKA and her just great addition, her voice. Eventually, they double together. Gone for a second, but I'm back from the dead, just singing them at the same time. His terrible, intentionally terrible, unworked voice and her beautiful voice all just goes together so well. What a great song. And this is what interests me. I imagine, based on what I've read, or I mean what I've heard, you know, this is not what people go to a Young Lean album for. Like, do Sadboys and Drain Gangbangers, do they like dislike this album for songs like this that are so well polished, or are they kind of following Young Lean with this progress? I don't know. Next song is Trip, I've already discussed. Then Gold, very kind of sleepy song. It almost feels like it doesn't get started, but I think that's kind of intentional. Really goofy lyrics. Crystals, I got issues, hit me up like a pistol. I'm the riddle, I'm the joker, I'm the wild card in the middle. I get the sense he just watched The Batman and started writing this. But then there's lyrics that I really like these odd lyrics. Red Fog 3, Red Dead Dogs. Not Toby, he's alive, he's just sleeping. But, you know, like, I like this red fog, like this imagery that helps to give into that cloudiness of this whole song. And then I would say the lyric that is probably the most important on the whole album must be Love in My Heart, but it's a sad song. Again, I don't quite get what he means, but it's this feeling. It's this vibe. If you've been watching my channel recently, you know that I'm working as a dad boy trying to understand what the hell a vibe is. Like, what does it do? What purpose does it serve younger people that it would not have served me? And I feel like the more that I listen to this vibey music, the more I get it. Love in My Heart, but it's a sad song. I get it. It's a vibe. Almost doesn't start, but I get it. Stars to the Rainbow, featuring Dadboy Digital, is just great. Sleepy and weird. This great, like, humming, more of the singing. Can you sing like Young Lean more? Nice kind of sub bass too. Dirty Diana was a rock star. I don't know what it means, but I love the way the sub bass goes in and out. The drums go in and out. The voice is very fragile, but it's very good. I'm making fun of his voice, but I'm making fun of his voice the way that I might make fun of Neil Young. I make fun of Neil Young's voice, but he's one of my favorite vocalists, okay? So that's not the question. It's not, is it good or bad, but it is mockable. I also like how it ends with bird sounds, a little bit of nature in this album, which feels quite unnatural at times. All the Things is the next song, very washed over, like synthesizers. There seems to be a theme of like maybe a breakup on this album. I can't quite tell what's really happening lyrically. It seems like there's a breakup or a love story that's happening here. A very trappy beat comes in at a certain point underneath these synthesizers briefly, and then it goes out, and then it's just the voice. All the way throughout the album, there's lots of great texture play, sort of deceptively simple production because it's actually quite complicated with how they bring things in and take them out. Great dynamics with his voice all the way throughout. And then there's like this epic Eurodance outro. This kind of like, that's the sound of Bo walking to the, that's my other dog. He's walking to the couch. He got too hot in the sun. There's this like Eurodance bit, which, sounds like a Dance Dance Revolution song. And then the real outro is just his voice. More of these great dynamics, which this album produces all the way through. Then comes Lips, produced by Skrillex. So I didn't pay attention to music between 2002 and 2018. But I did happen to hear Skrillex. And I immediately bought Skrillex. I immediately understood Skrillex. Bro Step, I immediately understood and thought was great. And still think is great. Feel free to tell me I'm wrong in the comments. Feel free to put a link to that great video about why all my friends hate Skrillex. But, oh my god, I love Skrillex. Which makes this song kind of disappointing. It's just kind of a sex song, a weird sex song, like Take It Off, strip down, I like your lips and your hips and my belt. And then your puke is getting bigger? Did he say your puke is getting bigger? Is this a sex song that includes the words your puke is getting bigger? Did I mishear? I'm not going to look it up. That's my next challenge to you. Write a love poem to, your significant other, your boyfriend, girlfriend, and just try to just slip in a little sexy puke talk. Again, more almost Euro-sounding upbeat house vibes here. I still like the bad singing here, even though I would say this is the weakest track on the album. Next song is featuring Antoine, called Paradise Lost. No drums, very minimal drums throughout here. Gentle, stringy synthesizers, layers, more and more. This is a weird song because he's kind of flexing, and based on the other song titles that I saw, I got the sense that he sort of, like when I found out his name was Young Lean, I thought, like, is he just going to be like an imitation, a parody of rappers by talking about lean when he doesn't actually, have an addiction to codeine? It turns out that's just a play on his name, Jonathan Leindor. But like, I think it's actually more to that. I think he is flexing and talking about having sex in a hotel and having lots of watches, but I think it's sort of satire and talking about the difficulty he has with his fame and with his money, because it seems as though he has not acclimated well, that he's had I heard some story about like his manager dying or something and him getting hooked on cocaine and like methamphetamine. I don't know, just hooked on a lot of drugs. That's the danger with trying to be interesting through drugs, is you might end up getting hooked on drugs. But I love the singing on here by Antoine, who actually sings in Swedish. Do you know how hard it is to hear Swedes or Danes or Dutch people, like people who speak English so well it bothers you because of their excellent education system? How rare it is to hear them in English and in Swedish? It's really nice. I would love more Swedish on this music. I want to fight English linguistic hegemony. That's one of my big themes on this channel, but it's nice hearing here. Next song is called Summertime Blood, produced by Skrillex again. This is featuring Blady and Echo 2K. So I guess this is the Drain. What's the difference between the Drain Gang and the Sadboys? Like, why are there two different names? Aren't they all the same people? I can't figure it out. Like are you like are there Drain gangbangers who are not sad boys and vice versa? Anyways, this is a great song. Almost hyper pop first verse. I think it's Blady singing in the beginning. I couldn't quite tell. But I love the pre-chorus and the chorus with Echo 2K. Just really loving his voice. I've really come ever since listening to Crest and getting into it and comparing it to Teletubbies. You should really check out that video. It's one of my better ones. And Skrillex is doing a little bit more Skrillex-y stuff. I would love a drop, but still he's doing nice kind of build-ups and releases underneath here. I love the central line of the song, Summertime Blood, wash your hands, shake the lights on. That kind of bizarre. I think part of it is that it's that second language thing where words don't always have, like meaning. Like they can just be words. You can kind of put them together as opposed to thinking like this has to have a specific meaning. They can just be sounds. Like think of the lyrics of Phoenix. This feels like that. But again, it's this sort of kind of like that love song that talks about puke, summertime blood. Like summertime is this happy light thing, and then blood is this dark, sticky thing. I really just love Skrillex's production on here. I feel like he kind of redeemed himself. I love the layers and layers. And again, the term I use for this is just Euro fun. I know Skrillex is from LA, but he's producing something here. Nobody Else is just about as gentle as a song can be. This is bells and notes and about the pain of fame, basically that he's not made to be famous. That appears to be the primary theme here. The whole back half of the album is very nice. It has a very sort of like nice outro feel. The song Waterfall has this heavy echo where like it's like this piano-y synthesizer sound. It kind of reminds me even a little bit of U2. It seems to be about a lover. It's about like effing someone on the floor and remembering what it's like and thinking about the future. But then it also seems like it could be about a friend. I don't really know, but I do know that I love the epic ending of this song. This dark, epic, contemplative synthesizers at the end. It really underscores the strength of this song. This is where I imagine if you're in that fourth stage obsession, you know, where you just like have to listen to everything these people release. Just I don't understand why, but you just have to. It's clear that that's happening to people, and I understand why, but I can't explain why. I imagine that these little synthesizers at the end of Waterfall are just like the most like, oh, this is the feeling, right? I have real goosebumps. I only show goosebumps when I really get them. I get real goosebumps from imagining that kind of feeling. Letting It All Go, kind of a high singing song, no drums, just these kind of sounds in the back, very gentle synthesizers. Is this about a wedding? Dirty pills and orchid scents, put my hand down your well, kiss my neck, your hands down my belt, till the church rings the bells, I won't squeak, I won't tell, letting it all go. Is this like letting it all go, is this like letting go of your single life, or is this like letting go of your existence because you're like really weird and sad and you're going to go float off into the cloud in a sort of drug-fueled semi-suicide movement? I can't tell. I don't think it really matters because it all leads into the outro, which is called Visions. Organs and nothing else, lots of words, kind of corny at times. Enter the void, I'm inside it, whatever you are, I am not it. These are the cards I was dealt with. You know, kind of weird sort of second language sounding poetry. I take my hand and cannot lose, whatever you wish, you choose. You know, like maybe that's part of the pleasure of Young Lean for people is that, you know, like I don't think you're supposed to think that much about his lyrics. Like I don't think you're supposed to like, you know, I'm going to be reviewing Billy Woods next, in case you're curious. And you're supposed to take his lyrics and really break them down and really understand what they mean. But here, this dude just straight up rhymed lose and choose. Like, come on, you know? Take my hand, I cannot lose, whatever you wish is what you choose. My name is Barney Rubble, and I'm here to say I love Fruity Pebbles in a major way. It's like that level. But I don't think it matters because it's not actually about the words. It's about this vibe, about this cloudy vibe. It ends with him saying, pocket full of bees, it's Young Lean. Bees? Or does he say beans? Beads? Bees? Pocket full of bees? I don't know. I like pocket full of bees. It's Young Lean. I like that image. Maybe it's pocket full of beans, like Jack and the Beanstalk. I don't know. Maybe it's a pocket full of beads, like Lindsay Bluth. Who can really tell? So that's my review. I love this album. I don't know if I'd call myself a sad boy because I don't have the time in my life to listen to this music at that level, especially seeing as I review like 3 to 4 albums a week. I can't spend the next 6 months only listening to this output. I don't think it's doing all the same stuff that hip hop does. Like it is rap music, it is a rap genre, but like it doesn't fulfill a lot of that obligation, which I think is to be the voice of the voiceless and the marginalized underclass. And I don't think disaffected young white guys qualify as that. But at the same time, disaffected young white guys need music too. They also need things to relate to them, and I should know because I was one of them, right? So in a way, it does and it doesn't do what I think hip-hop does best. So, but it's not up to me, obviously. It's not up to me to be the arbiter of taste, and obviously, if hip-hop moved and changed and developed, and so much of the emotional side that we see in hip-hop and this avant-garde production is because of what these random Swedes were doing, then obviously it's real awesome hip-hop. So I promised you an embarrassing story and an album release, and you're going to get both. So here's the deal. When I lived in Marseille for a year when I was a young man right out of college. And the reason that I tell this story and I release this album now is that was when I was kind of a sad boy. You know, I was disaffected. I was in a relationship, but it was long distance. And I was living in France, and everybody loved me. You know, I was at the peak of my sort of physical beauty and charisma and just every, I mean, I sound arrogant, but it's true. I was just walking around and like I just felt like like some kind of god. You know, I had that weird feeling, but then also deep down I was like very tortured and very sad, and I hadn't gone to therapy yet. I definitely wasn't a dad boy yet. You know, so like I was also very tortured, and I was like I was trying to do two things at once. I was trying to grow and have a great experience in France, and then also I was trying to destroy myself. I was trying to destroy myself, but I smoked cigarettes and I drank too much. I never actually did drugs because fortunately I hate drugs. But I was sort of at the same time trying to destroy myself and become a sad boy and find some kind of meaning in that destruction while also trying to make my way through. Now, obviously I made my way through, but not before I went to this party. I went to this party and it was a good enough party, and I started talking to this girl, you know, and we hit it off. Mind you, I'm still in a relationship now. So eventually we leave the party, and I realize as we're going, and she's telling me about her life, and she's the daughter of an ambassador, and she has this beautiful apartment overlooking the Mediterranean, and she's kind of telling me all these things. I'm sort of like, okay, I sort of see where this is going. And I realized that like she was expecting us to, you know, hook up. So as I'm walking back down the streets of Marseille, like 2:00 in the morning, it was trash day, and there was this like gigantic chair with a glass table on it, like attached to it. It was one of the ugliest pieces of furniture I've ever seen. But in my beautiful brain, I'm like, this will get me out of it. I got to take this back to my apartment. So I'm like walking through the streets of Marseille at like 2:00 in the morning, carrying this big, heavy, like metal and glass chair desk combination, which my studio apartment didn't need at all. But then because of that, I was able to communicate to her that I wasn't really interested and that I had to get this thing up to my apartment, and I didn't invite her in. And that was that. Later that night, I recorded the song. You see, when I lived in Marseille, I had Leroy. That's my guitar. And yeah, I didn't have internet back then. You know, this is 2000. I didn't have the internet. I didn't have anything to do. I would just sit alone in my apartment, and I got a 4-track recorder, and I would make songs. And I never released them. The internet didn't exist. I had nowhere to put them. I didn't have YouTube. I didn't have Bandcamp. So that's why I'm releasing this album on Bandcamp today. I'll include a link to it down there. It's not good. It's really raw. It's just some kind of self-obsessed 22-year-old Professor Sky before he was a professor, before he was a dad boy, before he was in grad school, singing songs kind of glorifying his half-assed self-destruction, his unachieved self-destruction. What's nice about it, though, is the atmosphere of the album, you know? Like, I'm very amateurish. I can't sing very well. I'm playing that crappy guitar. I'm recording on a 4-track that was broken, so it's actually just a 2-track. And you can hear the streets of Rue Sainte, where I lived, outside. And so this is the song that I wrote that night when I rejected the ambassador's daughter. It's called One Night Stands.
One-night stands. I don't want no one-night stands. No, I ain't no minute man. I don't want no midnight stands.
Remember when I was making fun of Young Lean's voice? This note's honking.
I don't want to cook your breakfast when you wake up. I don't want to see you as you make up.
Nice rhyme, Sky.
I don't want to hear you when you fake it. 'Cause when I make it, I really make it.
Here comes the keyboard.
I don't want no one-night stands. I don't want no one-night stands. No, I ain't no minute man. I don't want no midnight stands. Some people call me dirty tease. Some call me a dirty sleaze. But I am what I am, and I am what I am. And I ain't no one-night stand.
So I play that for you as promotion, whatever. I don't really care. You can listen to my music or not. But to emphasize that inside every dad boy is a sad boy. you know? So like when I listen to that music, I don't hear me, right? That's not me. That's some other version of me. And that version of me needed to make that music, needed to express his sadness. And maybe if I had distribution, and maybe if I had influence or whatever, maybe someone would have glommed onto that, and that would have meant something. And that's what I like about about the internet music, and about internet musicians in general, is this random chance. Hey, maybe people will just find this son of an ambassador and a translator, and his weird kind of bedroom music will find this attachment, and people will get to it. I remember making that music, like imagining like this music sucks, but actually maybe it's good, and maybe someone would hear it and hear the vulnerability and the sadness and the voice, and would think that the weird honking and beeping and the fact that I couldn't even play a 1-4-5 guitar line consistently for 3 minutes is charming and interesting. Music is awesome. It's a great way to express emotions. I'm very glad that Young Lean's out there. I'm going to be a Drain Gang banger sad boy forever. All right. Until next time, there's the camera.